So, I guess let's just get started. Okay, so I'll introduce myself. You can introduce yourself, and then we'll go right into the rapid questions.
Sounds
Sound good?
great. Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
So I'm Sarah Wagner, life and career coach, also a people strategist on the other side of the business that I'm running. That's my former HR work. And this phase of my career is about life and career coaching for millennials, especially millennial moms with little kids at home. I can relate to that. I think we need a lot of extra help. And so that's where I am in my career. I'm excited to be here with Scott Nelson of Thrive Wealth Strategies, who I met like 2 years ago on a LinkedIn post about a boat, right? And then it
Was that
turned
the
out
one? The
that
one
we
about the
had
boat?
a
Okay,
person
never
in
mind. That's awesome.
common we have a person in common, and we've been connected and enjoying each other's content since. So here we are, and I want to let Scott introduce himself.
Yep. So Scott Nelson, founder of Thrive Wealth Strategies, a financial planning firm in Boston, and really my calling card is we just welcomed our fourth child this year. So
That's amazing.
my whole mantra is efficiency. Is having trying to find what balance means to each person, and personally for me, and helping clients along the same journey I'm going through. And, I've been financial planning my entire life, my own life, to help me make my big decisions. So I'm applying the things I find for myself to the people. And I tell people, come along the journey with me, and, I'll help you make some of the hard decisions, and we'll make the most prosperous life possible, and without the guilt.
I love that, without the guilt. And I think we connected kind of over our bond of releasing the guilt, also not having goodie bags at birthday parties. That seems to be an important component to both of our lives, as well as toys that do not make noise.
Okay. Yeah, that was kind of half of one of those was one of my questions for you.
Oh,
So
okay,
why don't
okay.
we just
So should
get
we
into
go?
it?
You
So,
want to go
uh,
into rapid fire? You want to go
well, I'm not
first?
going to ask you about the goodie bag because I think we did
Okay,
it publicly a few times, but
it's
both of
okay.
us have this disdain for, you throw a kid's birthday party, and you have this obligation that you have to actually give a gift to the people going. And so I'm on a crusade to stop it. And
I
first
love
thing
it.
I need Sarah to talk to my wife and get her on board, because, basically I don't understand
I
that.
got a little
So
nervous when I got the
yeah,
in mail about the goodie bags. I was like, I feel like I'm getting in the middle of a marital spat
no.
here.
Uh, I made sure I didn't tell you which way to answer, but I think you figured out which way I was leaning pretty quickly. But
And I think
you know, I
it
mean,
probably ties into not wasting your money too, right?
just the guilt of it, things like you feel obligated to do that just sometimes just don't make sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And along that lines is, on the flip side of it, with the holidays coming up,
Hey, Kathleen, thanks for coming away from the fairway or coming over from the Fairway Forum. We've got our first live participant. We're so
all
happy to
right,
have you
cool.
here.
So my question is going to be,
Okay, so we're doing rapid fire. You go first.
okay, so with the holidays coming up, I have this. My other crusade is not just the goodie bags for birthday parties. Is being smarter about giving holiday gifts, and because my mantra is trying to simplify things and trying to get things easy and declutter. So you know, I hate getting the plastic noise making gifts,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm on the crusade with my the past 2 years with my specific mom. She's not online,
Oh yeah,
and my mother-in-law.
I
Just like, like how do you get that? How do you position it in a polite way to get something that's actually meaningful? And what do you suggest?
well, I went through this with my own mom, partly because she is technologically challenged and can never get logged into her Target account. So I ended up ordering all the gifts for my kids. Hey, Lindsay, welcome. Um, this year, we have had to be really specific with our family. And to be honest, it's taken a couple of years of just holding the boundary. And quite honestly, I'm finding that my kids like the toys that are quieter and more focused, um, where they can play and be creative. So we've just honestly, I think have had to hold the boundary and just remind and like make kind of light jokes about the noise in the house. I think I made a post on one of your posts about if you're going to give somebody a noisy toy, you have to give the parents earplugs.
Yeah.
And if you give somebody a toy with a lot of pieces, you have to give them a container with a top to store them in.
Yeah.
Like, and it cannot be the plastic box or the cardboard box that comes with the toy. Like,
I think my breakthrough was we had this elephant on wheels, almost like a push cart elephant on wheels that my mom gave for Christmas. And I said, it's time to bring it home. And they could literally, the kids are like ramming each other into the walls and knocking things over and pressing things inside the house. And I'm like, you know what? We never have anything to play with when we're here. Why don't we just keep this here?
That's
And
another great thing.
when they come, they can play with it.
Yes.
Next time we showed up, it was in the basement.
Yeah,
So
we've done that
we
a
had
lot.
we had to go look for it. The kids had to look for it. So I think that made the point right there. Like maybe we don't want something on wheels that makes a bunch of noise. It's a battering ram.
Yeah, that's gonna make me have to like repair all of our nice woodwork in our house, right? Yeah, we've moved some toys to the grandparents just out of necessity, like the quantity of toys. Since my kids are not here today, they are 5 and almost 3. I recommended a lot of imaginary play stuff because I'm noticing that at this age they're getting into it. And that makes me feel great because they get to team up and play together. So Abigail is getting a wobble board for her birthday, like those big wooden things that like rock. You can lay on them, you can make a ramp, you can balance and pretending you're surfing. She's really into that physical stuff, and some magnetiles because they're really into the magnetiles. And I already have the container to put them in. Which is important.
So one of my things I'm trying to preach is that don't skip the coffee, don't skip the memories, don't skip so like I'm trying to encourage people to give experiences over stuff. And if you feel like that's not enough, I even on the flip side, like first is I suggest hey, put money into a stock or a college plan or something like that, and on the background if you feel like you want to be super generous. But if you want the kids to actually get the smile on their face, and actually see that, because some people, they don't want to put, a 3-year-old doesn't get that you're saving for college yet. So that's when you say, hey, I'm gonna bring you on an Airbnb to Great Wolf Lodge or something like that. Some sort of experience, give that, and the kids will remember that a lot more than those toys.
Yeah, the toys I feel like is really about and here's what I would challenge people to think about. Because when you're giving a gift, is it for you to see the reaction, or is it for the child to actually enjoy? And how long does that moment of enjoyment last before all the pieces are broken and lost and the kid's not playing with it anymore? So not only getting the longevity out of the child's enjoyment, but who are you actually giving the gift for? And if the kid isn't excited, is that gift giving experience ruined for you? Right? There's so much juicy life stuff built into the toy buying and the gift giving experience that I've just worked on examining with myself.
Awesome.
All right, I've got a quick question for you. I come to a little lighter and funkier, which I thought we were
cool. Okay. Let's do it.
Alarm clocks. Do you use your phone or do you have an actual alarm clock? Just a quick answer.
I have a child who's
all right.
Like literally, I wake up before my alarm clock. I have it set at 6:01 just in case, but I can't remember last time I wasn't already awake with the phone in my hand. So I would use the phone. The phone is the backup just in case it's the day I need it. So
I love it. Which child is the worst perpetrator of the alarm clock duties?
They've all taken turns.
Yeah, you've got a baby at home, right? How old are your kids? Why don't you share for the people who
9, 7, and 3-year-old boys, and we welcome the little baby girl who's 10 months old, who literally she's the prize. Basically, dealing with like the little boys, finally having the little princess. She's actually recently been a little bit better of a sleeper. The one that's waking us up is the 7-year-old still comes in our bed. We've tried bribing him everything to try and stay in his own bed, but so he'll wake us up in the middle of the night. But like the 3-year-old, he's awake at the crack of dawn. The second like there's a creak on the floor. Like I can't. I used to try and do the Peloton at 5 a.m. trying to get past, but like literally, unless I sleep on the couch next to the Peloton, I can't do it because. He must smell me walking down the hallway, and the second 5, and then I'm not.
I hate that advice for parents. Just get up earlier before your kids. You're like, you clearly don't understand how that works. They have this
literally. I
think
he's sitting by the door of his bedroom, waiting for some creak or some smell or something to happen, and then hey, we're up, and
Yeah.
now you're not working out and you're up with a kid, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I never
so
tell my clients like, "Oh, you have a wellness like goal. Why don't you just get up before your kids?" Because I find that advice to be so triggering. I'm like, "You know what? Listen, sleep is primary. And then everything else will fall into place once you're well rested."
okay,
All right, I have
so
another question.
that'll lead into
Winter
my
or summer?
yeah. Say again.
Winter or summer?
I love winter. I love winter.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm an all seasons kind of gal. I grew up going to summer camp, and honestly, I love being outside and enjoying every season. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to instill that in our kids. And we just had this big, sloppy, wet snow this morning, and it was like I'm 37 years old, and I still get that feeling like
Yeah,
we're going to
me
have a
too.
snow day. And I'm so excited every time it snows. I'm outside of Chicago, so we have like a decent amount of snow in the winter, and hopefully it will accumulate, but I still get that like childhood feeling of.
I like the four seasons as well. I pick winter just because I, like the winter sports and the snow and it just, and I'd much rather put on a sweater, hat, and mittens than, walking around in shorts and t-shirt and still sweating. You just,
Yeah,
it's easier to regulate the temperature when it's cold than when it's hot. And
I agree. I agree. All right, should we dive? I'm opening up our agenda to make sure we hit all those important things because our goal is to go 45 minutes, right? So
yep.
if there's anybody else who's joined, please let us know where you found us, where you're joining from, and any questions that you have because we want to make this interactive and helpful for you. We also had a little bit of an agenda that we wanted to cover. I think we got through a fun get to know us and our offerings. For the people who have joined, I'm a life and career coach that focuses on millennial moms recentering themselves in their own lives. So many people I talk to are like, I have gone on autopilot. I don't know what happened the last 6 months and I'm barely alive. And that is a sucky way to live. Okay. And like, I am feeling that way too at times. And I just want more and more people to feel recentered in their own lives. Which is why I went into coaching. This was my ultimate career goal. So here I am. I have arrived and I get to bring the power of my HR experience over years to supporting individuals. And Scott is here. We have similar kind of, I guess, target audiences, like client demographics, which is why we got so connected and excited about talking together because Scott is supporting families with their wealth strategies.
Yeah, and Sarah made social media social for me. It was kind of, I made a joke on a post the other day. Can you find a friend online if and she said as long as you've talked on the phone once or
even if you haven't, I feel like I know people on LinkedIn who I'm probably never even going to meet in person or talk on the phone. I know about their kids. I know about what they like to do. So I'm just excited to bring this kind of combined content because so much of your life and career is tied to your, your money, right? And how you support that lifestyle that you want to design. So we wanted to do fun get to know you and our offerings, what we're hearing from millennial parents that we're working with, and some key things we want people to know respective to our fields. So like maybe some of those tips that we would give people. And it's just kind of a way to get to know us if you're interested in the topics or engaging in any of our services or posts or workshops in the future. So let's talk a little bit about what we're hearing from millennial parents that we work with. Scott, what is the biggest concern people are coming to you with when they book a call with you?
I'm finding people balance is one of the things, like how do you do it all? How do you set your priorities? They want to know, am I okay? That's the question. They like, am I doing everything I should? Am I on the right track? And then that leads into the guilt piece of it I was talking about before is, people feel guilty if they're not doing everything for everyone. And, you have to make sure that you're on track, but you have to also make sure that you're living your life.
Right.
And
And enjoying the money that you're working really hard to make and save.
the money is the tool. And I think that, the different generations are definitely rethinking what retirement is. So, that's going to be part of the things I want the key people to know. But I'll be talking about what retirement really is and how I think it's changing and what the, Gen X and millennial retirement is going to be compared to the boomers and the silent generation. I mean, it's not something, retirement was never something that was, 150 years ago, it wasn't even a word. Like it
Right.
wasn't something people ever really thought about. You never
Right.
retired. You just work and work and work. And then it's something that's a newer concept, and it's being shaped as we're doing it. And I see that there's opportunities to rethink it. And I still think that if people consider your life as something that's ever changing, ever evolving, you can rethink retirement. You don't feel guilty about not doing everything right now for
Yeah.
30 years from now. You
Yeah.
got to take care of yourself now, because this is a significant part of your life, as retirement is.
Yeah. I think and I've shared about this on LinkedIn. I just lost my dad in October to Alzheimer's. And I know that many people have this kind of aha, different aha moments, or those like lightning bolt moments that you
Mhm.
have during your life. And I thought to myself, like, we have to enjoy our money now, because there's no guarantee we're going to make it to 45 to 55 to our retirement so we can take our money out. And we
Yeah.
have to find that balance of, I'm not saying blow it all because tomorrow could not be here, right? That's not my mentality. I was raised by traditionalist and boomer parents. So,
Yep.
like, I cover my shoulders at the office, I save in my 401k, I have good benefits, and I work for retirement, right? But I know you have likely had situations like this, and people on the call, is where you realize you need to enjoy your life now, as opposed to going 150 miles an hour and then just stopping working and being like, okay, now I get to enjoy my life. And that's the trend we're seeing with millennials and younger generations, is like this wake up moment of, I have to actually enjoy my life now, and the money that I'm making, I'm going to spend it and go on a vacation and make memories now.
Well, if you think about the thought of working for 40 years and then not working for 30 years, why
Yeah,
does it have to be two distinct blocks?
right.
Why can't it be work for 15 years, work part time for
Yeah,
5 years,
yeah,
then work full time for 10 years, switch your job, work full part time and travel during your 50s and 60s, and
yeah,
then maybe go back to working part time, something you enjoy doing and making some, so like it doesn't matter. Like you don't have to like work a full time job for 30 years and
yeah,
then stop working just cold turkey. And then, what are you going to do? And most people, you probably know this as a coach, like sometimes work gives you a purpose or a meaning. And
mhm,
like to ask a 65-year-old who's worked for 40 years straight to all of a sudden stop working,
yeah.
some people are not good at being retired, you
It's
know?
very hard.
So
Yeah,
why not take some of those retirement years when your kids are 0 through 5?
yeah, yeah.
Find a
If you
way
can,
to tread water and just pretend those years aren't, maybe you're not moving forward, but you're not moving back.
yeah,
And, like find a way to, how much money do you need to make? Can you go down to one income? Can you go down to one and a half incomes? Like like, what can you do to make those years, you know, special and awesome instead
yeah.
of
What you want
stressful
out
and
of it,
horrible,
right?
and so you never find someone who comes back and says, boy, I wish I worked more and spent less time with my young children.
Right, right. And if you don't want to spend time with your young kids because it's not your jam, that's okay too. Work and
Yeah.
do it at a different time when you're enjoying being with them more and you're more engaged. That message particularly resonates with me because so many of my clients have kids in paid childcare. So they're working with this dichotomy of like, I work to pay for childcare. Maybe some of them want to be spending more quality time with their kids, and it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. You can work full time and feel engaged at home.
Hmm.
And for me, working with my clients, it's about finding the values that are really important to them and making sure that like those top 3 or 4 values are built into their week, and that they're
Yeah.
conscious about how they're seeking them out, how they're working on them, and when they're present in their lives and how that energy feels. And I talk a lot about the seasons of life. Like when you have little kids, it's a really busy season. There is a
Yeah.
huge drain on your energy, and it's also wonderful. And they're exploring and they love you so much, and they have to sleep with their faces touching you because they're so obsessed. And you're tired and you're sick of answering questions about everything under the sun. And coaching is a lot about acknowledging both ends of those like spectrums existing at the same time, and acknowledging the season you're in. So maybe you're not in the mood to be hard charging for the next promotion. Maybe this season is about being really good and engaged in your current role, or changing careers, or taking a pivot, or taking a step back, or charging for the promotion. Like,
Yep.
for everybody I work with, it's different. And I always say, let's talk about your plan. I don't know what it is, but you do, and I can help you get there. And I hope that it attracts the clients who are willing to take that leap of faith to have really deep, rich conversations about what they want, so that they
And
can
that's where it ties
plan.
back together, like, what we're doing. It sounds like we're having very, very similar conversations with our clients. And I
Yeah.
think that, and then people need to have that, because, back to the guilt and the, am I okay? Once you show somebody that you're going to be okay,
Yeah.
make a decision that you want to make, and whichever one you do, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But like, if you don't have that information and you're making a decision, and not, it's going to make your life so much more stressful. If
Yeah.
you don't know that you can afford, or what if I can't retire
Yeah.
because I'm so far behind, and we're on one income, and what if we just, you get overwhelmed even thinking about it.
Yeah.
So, if you can show somebody that they're okay and they can make their decisions with confidence, then it opens up the world to all
Yeah.
the different possibilities.
Yeah. I was just talking with my husband last night. So our daughter is 5 in a couple of days,
Mhm.
which means she'll go to kindergarten next year. Which means we will have a huge reduction in childcare costs,
Mhm.
and they're only going part-time right now. So we've scaled down so that I can scale my business. Like, we're in this kind of delicate balance, but we always talk about having enough money to just live comfortably right now until some of those expenses free up. We did a home renovation. We've got kids in paid childcare. So we keep talking about, like, here are our checkpoints next year where we don't actually need to make more money. The, like, huge costs will be
Yeah.
reduced. And I know
Well,
a lot of people are just
here's the
hanging
hack.
on, wait until kindergarten.
It's similar to, I find when people, they have like their big car payment, and once that car payment is done, they spend that money 10 times over. Like,
Yeah.
oh, now that I don't have that, that monthly car payment, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So same thing with the childcare. It's like, if you've been treading water, I tell people, pretend you're still paying that childcare, and then
Yeah.
go turn around and put that money into the college savings plan, or go make up those years on the, maxing out the 401k, so
Yeah.
whatever goal, you take an assessment, say, where am I on track for my goal?
Yeah.
And say, all right, now that I'm used to this money coming out, just don't go and spend it on things that, I mean, go on a vacation, but, don't spend it 10 times. If you,
Yeah.
are used to spending a couple $1,000s a month on daycare, put $1,000 a month into, $500 into each of the kids' college plan, and then
Yeah.
see how that fixes, being 30% on track to 80% on track, so,
Right.
be mindful once you have an opportunity to, make up for lost time.
Yeah.
It's all part
Absolutely.
of the not feeling guilty, knowing that, like, you said
Right.
seasons, there's expensive years, when the kids are young and
Yeah.
when the kids are in college. Those are, some of the most expensive years. And, and the years
But you can
between,
get
if
a
you're
loan
in,
for college. You can't get a loan for childcare, right?
or retirement. So, so
Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough. Um, And what I'm finding is people are coming to me and they're saying, like, is it worth it to go to this job to pay all this money in daycare and miss my kids all day?
mm,
Or just, like, even not missing the kids. Maybe you love being away professionally and then at home in the evenings, or however your arrangement is. Like, the cost of childcare, I think, raises this question for people of, is it worth it to be paying, like, if you have 2 kids, $4,000, $5,000 a month
yeah.
for full-time daycare to go to this job that's sucking the life out of me? So I like to dig into the nuggets with people, like, what is it that feels friction? Where do you need to change? Where do you need to engage? Where, you know, does that warrant a job change or career change? Um, like you said, full-time, part-time change. And I get to explore all of those, like, juicy details, like what resonates with people,
Yep.
so that they can get through this busy season with their heads on and be able to say they're actually enjoying their day, right?
Yeah, that's
And it's
like,
different for everybody.
yeah. I mean, if it's not making you happy and it's costing you a lot of money, who's it benefiting? So,
Yeah, Right. And so it's like this the cost of childcare is a really stark reminder of that. Um, there are some great programs that are rolling out across the country. And I should have made a note on this, but New York, New Mexico, and Michigan have just rolled out initiatives to help parents with childcare. I'm trying to think, I believe it's New Mexico is now paying for the first year of childcare for kids, which is
Really?
great. Most expensive year, right? And the time where you're most likely to make an emotional, exhausted decision about something, which I love. I think that the momentum is good, and there's some support from a structural level coming for parents because the pandemic just thrust the struggles in people's faces, right? Like the
Mhm.
economy is hurting because parents couldn't work, parents were leaving work, you know, parents were at work and not able to be engaged. So the pandemic really sucked. And
Yeah, well, we're on
any
track
silver
for
lining, like if
we're on
you
track for
split,
timing. So I actually have one of my rapid fire questions that you just
yeah.
kind of was almost answered it. So, um, how do you react when someone without kids says, "Isn't it great that the pandemic is over?" You ever hear that? Does anyone ever say that to you?
Yes.
Okay.
And you asked me how I'd react, and I was taking a pause because my
Okay.
reaction is it's not over. And actually, parents are getting crushed right now. I saw some
Yeah.
statistic, and I'm quoting all these things without facts, but if you want me to fact check, I'm happy to do that. That there's like a greater absence in the workplace because of the illnesses going through right now, like COVID, flu, and RSV. The
Yeah.
pressure on parents right now is stronger than ever because of this like trifecta of awfulness that's happening with kids. And I think we all know people who have been hospitalized, they're in the hospital with their kids perfectly healthy, and 3 days later they're in the PICU. It's horrible. And it's like, your heart already lives outside of your body, and now you're supposed to work while your kid is sick. And even just the slightest sniffles is like huge anxiety for
Oh
people.
yeah.
And it's not just like, oh, my kid has a cold. It's like, back to the early days of the pandemic when you're playing outside, because that was the only place to play. It was
Hmm.
like, don't break your arm because we can't get into the emergency room. That's kind of what's
Well,
happening now again, except it's much higher stakes, right? They get a sniffle, they have a cough. You're like, okay, flu, RSV, COVID, all the hospitals are full, and we're talking respiratory disease here.
I
Like
mean,
this
my
isn't
wife,
broken. I mean, not to minimize a broken arm, right? So this,
we had our fourth child, like if you remember. I mean, we talked about this
yeah,
offline, but like it was you know, February, and she was 9 months pregnant during the peak of Omicron,
yeah,
and like we kept on, like my kids went to school between the two oldest kids, or the three oldest kids, because we kept them out of preschool. I think it was 6 days between December 15th and the baby being born. We had a total of 6 days. Like we had like the kids home between
yeah.
like close contacts. I got to one point where I was like bringing the two oldest kids to an Airbnb, when my wife is 39 weeks pregnant, just because like they had a
Right,
close contact. And what are you going to do? Like
right.
you can't have her getting, so yeah. Um, and then we actually, we went from till November, Halloween, November 1st. We kept COVID out of our house that long. I mean, I just couldn't believe, like, I was
I
like,
know you
not
made
not
it
saying like
so
we were
far.
the day, and just the way it just taught one child getting COVID, how it flipped our lives upside down for 3 weeks between like, one bedroom, then all of a sudden another child got it. And then,
Yeah.
we're trying to, the baby wasn't vaccinated. So we were doing our best, and like, it just turned our lives upside down for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So when people are talking about stuff being over, um, it's just not over. And being a
Yeah.
parent is like such an engaging
But
job.
I had someone say that to me just the other day, and I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Is it over? I guess I guess
You
I
want to
guess,
go
I guess
stay
I
in the
guess it's over for a lot of
Airbnb and
people,
pay
but
for
like,
that?
I guess what I see it
Babysit?
over.
Right.
So
So, let's talk a little bit about because we've got about 15 minutes left.
yeah.
What are kind of key takeaways based on what we're hearing from our clients? And I think like it's all so seamlessly interwoven. So, do you want to start?
Yeah.
So I have a
No, go
question
ahead.
based on what you said earlier, and I think you mentioned it was a key takeaway. When somebody comes and says, "Am I going to be all right?" Like, I want to make a decision about XYZ. Am I going to be all right? What are the areas that you check on first?
Um, so that kind of leads into both the
Yeah.
last two segments. So I'm making 2023 my year of simplicity, focus, and delegation.
Oh, yeah.
Really, I'm just trying to simplify everything, declutter our lives, find out, like, get rid of those plastic noise making toys, get rid of the distractions, all the different stuff that
Yeah.
stops us from focusing on the key main things. And that translates extremely well to my business, is because the first step in any type of planning of anything, whether it's financial or building a house, whatever it might be, is you got to figure out where you are and where you want to be.
Yeah.
And then there's 100 different ways to get there. And you just got to
Mhm.
figure out what the path of least resistance, work smarter instead of harder. So I just want people to know that, like, first thing is just you have to, if you're going to take a car to Florida, whether you're starting in Ohio or Chicago with you or Boston with me, you're going to open up Google Maps. And the first thing it's going to say is, use your current location. You
Mhm.
can't get a map to Florida without figuring out where you are. So
Yeah.
first thing you got to do is, let's just take a look. Let's take this, organize everything, put it into one page.
Yeah.
Let's look at where you are and just project it out and give you a health check of, for your finances.
Yeah.
I can usually do that in just a few hours for somebody, and
Mhm.
just really say, hey, here's where you are. Now let's talk about where you want to be, and then not overwhelm them with a 90-page document. Let's take a look at a one-page document. Here's where you are, here's you want to be, and here's 3 things that you can start doing immediately
Yeah.
to get on the right track, if you're not on the right track. And
Yeah. You wanna
so just
spend
some
your
basic.
energy trying to get to your goal, not trying to understand the plan.
Yeah.
I feel this way, like, from my background at HR. I'm like, "That's a great policy, but we've got a whole room of people with 150 questions about the policy." Like, it's not a good plan.
Yeah.
It's not a
I
good
mean, to
policy
get
if
to
we're
get
spending all
to to
our
get
time
to
trying to
Florida
figure
from
it out.
Boston or from Los Angeles, two people can be going the same exact place, but the path you go is completely different.
Yeah.
So you just got to figure out where you're starting is
Yeah.
the thing. Just like, and January 1st is a good time to start doing that because you're starting to gather all the stuff for taxes and whatnot, and just put all your finances on one page, take a look at it, and that'll start the year off right.
That's a great reminder too, because of the tax. Sometimes the financial planning stuff feels really burdensome because you're like, oh God, I have to go get my investment documents. I got to go get my whatever, all your documents together. For me,
I found
anything on
one.
paper, like, is a major roadblock for me. If I can't search it on my computer, like, if I have to go through actual pieces of paper, I'm not going to do it. And so having it all for your taxes is great. Even if you're not acting on it in January, February, March, April, whatever, you still have that all organized. So you've already done it. It's a double
The
win.
biggest hurdle I found in my entire career is scheduling a data gathering appointment. People don't know what that stuff is. They're embarrassed they don't know where it is. They don't know how to find it. They don't want, so people postpone that. So I started calling it a get organized appointment, and I take the
Oh,
guilt
that's
away from
great.
them. Let's just
Because
get
when you
together,
said the
roll
name of
up
that
our
appointment, I was like, I would rather do push-ups, and I
exactly.
hate push-ups.
Let's
So
roll our sleeves up. I'll help you get organized. Show me what you got,
yeah,
and I'll help you find what you don't. And we'll
yeah,
just, figure out, just roll up our sleeves and let's get organized,
yeah.
together, and it's no guilt. I found so many people, I mean, gosh, when's the last time you logged into your investment account? And, I don't know what the password is, so there's all sorts of, um, phone's ringing.
Okay.
Yeah. So get organized is the key. Put it all on one page, and don't have the guilt of not knowing where the which box it's in or what's the login for this.
Right.
We'll find it together.
That's the messy part. Like, it's
Yep.
okay to be messy during that part. We can't be
Yep.
afraid of the mess.
And once you get it organized, it's just like, I say with the kids, like, we can spend all day organizing your rooms, putting those Legos back or doing this and this and this. But, like, the key is, once you get organized once, you keep that organization, and,
Mhm.
I'll help you keep it organized. Cause, last thing you want to do is clean up that same box of toys 15 times, once you get organized, stay organized and stay on top of it. So,
Yeah.
I give you the tools to do it.
I like that. I do a 90-minute call at the beginning of my engagements, and there's some pre-work, and then we go really, really deep. We do like a deep dive. And a lot of times people will come to me, even in a discovery, like my strategy calls, and say, something feels like it's missing. I don't know what it is. And I don't quite know what I want in 5 to 10 years. And I say, actually, that's perfect. Because I think you're going to get a lot of benefit out of this engagement. Like, you know that there's a gap there, and that's the first step. And thank you for calling and having the courage to ask. Even if you're not going to work with me, which I'm fine, you've broken through the hardest part, is saying, I think I need help and I don't know where it is. So we spend a good 90 minutes working on just an evaluation of where people are feeling in their lives. As a coactive trained coach, I use the wheel of life just as, like, a gut check. And then people say, wow, I didn't realize I was so depleted in that area of spirituality or money or career. Or I came to you because I thought I wanted career help, but I actually think what I need is help at home. Like,
So true how intertwined the things are, and
yeah,
like, I'm sure you experience the same thing, but like after a while, the conversation isn't about the money for me. The conversation's about the thoughts and the feelings behind it, and money
yeah,
is just the tool to get to where you want to be. Like, so
absolutely.
how do you like let's come up with a plan that makes you more comfortable,
Yeah.
and the money is
And
going to be
comfort is
there.
defined differently for everybody.
Yeah.
Comfort for one person might be $1 million in the bank account, and comfort for another person might just be like an extra $150 to go out on a dinner,
Yep.
Like, so figuring that out, like, guilt-free,
Yep. Awesome.
releasing the guilt. I think I saw this amazing article on HuffPost, and I always talk about this, is eliminating the secret energy leaks. I think guilt, specifically with my clients, the mom guilt. And I describe it like, when you have your phone and the battery is not running efficiently, and you go in and you realize some app is running in the background and it's just sucking the life out of your battery. And you're like, why doesn't my phone last the whole day? And you realize it's some obscure app you downloaded like 3 years ago
Yeah.
that's draining your battery life. I think that I equate guilt to like the secret app that's
Okay.
running your
It's
phone,
interesting. I
because
like
it's
that.
in the background. You forget it's there, but it pops up with everything, when you set a boundary and say, no, I don't want toys this Christmas. I'd rather have money for a bank account. Or, if you set a boundary around gifting and someone gets upset and then you feel guilty because you made them upset, then it's just this drain on you. The mom guilt that I hear is like, I'm spending all this time away from my kids and I'm traveling for work and I'm missing them. Or they said this, X, Y, and Z, and I'm feeling really guilty. What is it that you're feeling guilty about? First of all, guilt is like worry. It's like a rocking chair. It's all this activity and you're not going anywhere,
Yeah.
right? But guilt is telling you something about your values too. So shifting it into what value is and isn't being recognized there, and then making a decision. Either you keep that activity and you set up, say, I'm not traveling for work this week because it's my child's birthday, and setting it and not feeling guilty about it. And then you feel good because that value is resonating with you in your life. And then you start to practice making these decisions that give you this kind of energetic burst, and build up what I call like your resilience tank. When
Yeah.
something happens, you need to have a good tank of resilient stuff full that make you feel really enriched and well, so that when it all goes down or hits the fan or whatever, you have enough in there that it makes you feel okay.
I
You
think
can dip
that's the
it.
key is like, I like to think of it as like an emotional bank account where like you make
Yes.
deposits and
Yes.
withdrawals, you know, like a cash reserve for my clients. Like if you have a good cash reserve, you can take a bunch of withdrawals and
Yeah.
sustain them. But
Yeah.
if you're running on a month to month and you have no cash reserve, and all of a sudden there's new tires on the car,
Catastrophe.
it's a catastrophe. But like, if
Yeah.
you have a adequate cash reserve, same thing with emotions, same thing with all the different stuff. And a lot of that is easier said than done. So I appreciate you reminding us that. So,
Yeah. You said the tires thing. That's so funny. I had to go to Costco and I had the kids, And of course they're saying, Mom, can we get that? Can we get that? Can we get that? And we're walking out and there's a big stack of tires. And my daughter goes, Mom, can we get those? I said, are you kidding? Do you know how much tires cost? We don't just swap those out.
Yep.
We don't throw them in our cart on the way out from Costco. So I was laughing about that.
They want everything. They wanted everything.
Right. They want to feel like they won the negotiation.
Yep. You said no to those things, but how about those?
Yeah, I said no to all the snacks, but we're gonna throw a tire in at the last. Yeah. So this has been awesome. Are there any questions? I know we have a couple of people on here, and Caroline is on here. We have been connected for a little while on LinkedIn. I'm really happy to see that you joined. All these different faces popping up. We are at 2 minutes to 45, and I know we made a commitment to do about 45 minutes, right? So anybody who blocked their time has 15 minutes free and just some space to breathe or go walk outside in the winter and enjoy the cold air. What is it that you want people to take away? What's your one-liner?
Balance is different for each person, and it certainly doesn't mean, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, or whatever it might be, So I'd like to think of balance as, being available for what's the priority at that moment. So, I mean, even with the kids, you're not saying you love each kid differently, but like sometimes kids need more attention, and same thing with different parts of life. Sometimes, your work needs attention. Sometimes your family needs attention. Sometimes you need the attention. So, having the right balance. So, so I'd like to really just have people take away is, don't feel guilty about any of the different stuff, and, just have an honest assessment of where you currently are, and, take a non-guilty approach towards achieving whatever you want. And, each person's destination is different. But you have a lot of control over where you end up if you make a mindful decision instead of letting the decisions made for you.
Yeah. I think my important takeaway that's really resonating with me this week, and I posted something about the no diet this morning. I'm saying no.
2 in the morning. What are you doing at 2 in the morning? I was up with a 3.
I did post. I was having a hard time sleeping.
Okay.
I have a hard time sleeping before lives because I get so excited, and I was so excited about this frame I had made.
Okay. No, I didn't even interrupt you. I was up trying to get the.
I know I got busted,
and I was like, what did she just?
I was thinking of topics. My brain. That's the joy, is that you can go to sleep when you're my client, and I'll be awake thinking about all the great things for you, and it'll be in your inbox in the morning. But yeah, I made this post about the no diet, and I think over and over and over again, like the guilt things comes up, but the self-comparison, I really think it's the thief of joy. And I think the gift with age and experience in life for people that I'm hearing is that you can live your values and your goals and your plan unapologetically. And I find that I'm really drawn to people who are ready to do that and just step into being completely themselves, whatever that is. It might be kooky to other people, and I love it. I love to watch people shine in their brilliance and bring themselves to the leadership that they have in their professional lives and their personal lives in a way that just makes them feel like, hell yeah, this is me. And I left it all on the court today, and I feel really good about it. And not left it all on the court in I'm physically depleted and exhausted and need to go sit in an ice bath and see a physical therapist kind of way. I mean, like, I gave it my all. I said what I wanted to today. I lived my values. And I'm really proud of myself today. I want people to feel like that for themselves. Not just proud of their kids, but I want them to feel really proud of themselves.
Awesome. I love that.
Woo! So, I'm having all the feels this holiday season, Scott. Having a lot of feelings.
As a call to action, I really enjoy this, and we should definitely plan on doing several of these. So I think almost on a monthly basis, if we want to do it, and we can actually bring in extra experts on different topics. So I'm thinking about setting up a landing page for Ask Me Anything type questions. You know, start
Yes.
gathering questions and topics people want to talk about. So
Cool.
why don't
And
we
we would love people to leave comments here if there's stuff that we left off the table or you want to know more about. And I know, Scott, on your website, you can book a call with you, which is complimentary, like an exploratory call.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And then also my website here, sarahwagner.com. You can book a strategy call there as well, which is complimentary. And we'll just like get into the juicy details of what you want and see if I can help you in 30 minutes, like a speed round, and then no pressure. We go from there. So, Scott, this was fun. We've been talking about doing this for 2 years. My gosh, we pulled it off. Yeah, it was my pleasure. And thank you, everybody who joined us. Please let us know if you have questions, comments, concerns about anything here. If you're ready to show Scott your bank accounts once you get all your tax stuff together, go visit him. And if you're feeling like something is missing or you want to focus and double down on a professional goal, or if you're just not quite sure, book a strategy call with me and we'll get started. We can start next week or in the new year and we can crush all these like financial and life goals. And it's going to be a great story for you at the end of 2023.
Awesome.
All
have a
right.
good day, Sarah. Nice talking to you.
Have a great weekend. And I guess we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care, everybody.